In this video, I want to talk about structuring your art continuing education. So one thing I found after completing a long drawing course, I didn't really know what to do afterwards. I mean, the world is your oyster, and you kind of have to figure it out yourself. I mean, unless you go to a traditional school, an art school. I mean, I didn't for sure, but if other people can't afford that, they can probably you learn what your strengths are, you learn what your weaknesses are, and pretty much you will learn that everything's like an ever evolving process. So you always need to be improving in one way or another. Some people will say online courses, some people will say YouTube videos, much like you're watching here. But even myself, I can't be everything to everyone. Because, if you want to draw cars, for example, you wouldn't really go to me. So I would think of it in terms of information searching. So I would say always be looking for art information. Now you could find this stuff, online, or maybe it would be better to say web pages. There are a lot of good, people might call them gems. There are a lot of good, or web page articles. There are a lot of good things like that. A lot of the time, certain books will become public domain because people will find them so important. I believe I don't know if all, but there are some old Dover books on art education, and a lot of them there will be a free version that you can get online because how do I put it? They're so old, or the information was deemed so valuable that it's free to distribute. Not for everything, but to some things. So if you just Google certain things, sometimes you can find them for free. Because of their public domain nature. Not everything, though. So, web pages and articles can be a really good source of information for trying to do that. Now, there are forums. If you are interested in some specific topic, most forums usually have some type of pinned information area that will say recommended reading for a pinned info area, and usually they contain things like either articles or maybe online books or recommended reading. If I could spell recommended right, I may not have spelled it right, but recommended reading. I mean, there's a lot of good information out there. Now, I'm not going to be against this. I think sometimes, the coolest thing would be to have a mentor of some sort. I can't be the mentor for everyone as I'm still very new. It would be cool to help out people one day. But a mentor is the cream of the crop when it comes to this information. Although more often than not, the true professionals, it may cost money for mentorship in any way. Do be aware. Free advice on the internet will get you so far. Personally, I tried giving a lot of information free initially and reviews, but eventually I became so burned out by it because it was just an endless battle. It was kind of getting in the way of me doing any of my art stuff that I like to do, in which I pretty much just became like a drone to doing it. And it's not that I'm against it in any way, but I'm trying to think, how could I help as many people as possible? So that's actually a big reason why I make YouTube videos. So, I mean, it's hard for me to say that. It's hard for me to say that I'm being a mentor of any sort. Maybe I am. Another thing, now, certain people will like this, other people won't. Videos. I think videos for art instruction can be very good, very helpful. You could rewind it, go forward. Um, I think it's just incredible because, well, because you can watch it again and again if something doesn't click. I think it's more interactive with videos, or with all of this stuff. I always do recommend that you try to draw along with this stuff. Another one I didn't mention, books. Some books can be good, but you do have to be on the side of caution. Usually what I would do when I would try to find information is I would read reviews on Amazon. And like usually if you're ever going to buy a book or anything like that, uh, in the past I used to look for like 3-star reviews because I thought that was like a happy medium. The other thing is avoiding, and this is going to sound weird, I have nothing against people who use affiliate links, but the thing about it is the honesty behind it. Like in the past, I think I pretty much stopped doing it, but a long time ago, I had some things, and it was clearly marked on my website where I used it, and it was like under a like if you wanted to support me area, and I mentioned clearly that these are affiliate links. But a lot of other people will not always mention if they are using affiliate links. So the reason why I'm on the side of caution with that is because if someone's just trying to get you to click and buy something through an affiliate link without them ever having gone through the painful process of digesting that information, how good can it be to you? Look, I understand everyone has to make money in one sense or another, but that's something personally I would avoid, because if I ever do recommend something, I want to recommend something that like I've actually have gone through in pain, and I feel like something I have really learned. So yeah, just be on the cautious. I would say 4-star reviews for books could be good as well. Although do be on the side of caution, because I have heard that some reviews on Amazon or Goodreads are actually fake, which is it's a bit surprising. It never seems like a lot of products. I feel like you rarely see 1 or 2-star reviews, which it's kind of weird because you think there would be at least one. I don't know. I don't know why, but okay. The other thing, online courses. Sometimes people have like videos through something like Vimeo, and usually have to like get through a paywall to see it. There have been some good things that I have seen. I like if you know Stan Panko, I think that's his name. He had a website called Proco.com, and I bought some of the online courses through it, and those were some of the affiliates on my website. And I thought the online courses were actually very well done and well worth their price. This is like one of the few times that I would recommend something like that, because I feel like online courses are very hit or miss. The reason why I say that is because trying to see honest reviews, because sometimes with those things, unlike YouTube, okay, well, to go on a quick tangent, YouTube used to have a dislike button. I would like it on my videos because I would rather have people decide whether my content is good or bad for any feedback whatsoever. They removed it since then, so it kind of becomes a bit more complicated for people to see it. The other thing, I try to allow all comments besides like robot spam under my YouTube videos. So that's kind of where I want to go with honest reviews. When people speak their mind, it's not always the most pleasant thing, but I think it is important so you can like hear honest stuff. Otherwise, you're gonna have to go to like another source for it, which is like inconvenient. So you do have to be on the side of caution with that. You really have to like do your research to make sure it is what it is, or maybe find someone who has it accredited, and like they maybe try and give it to you as an affiliate link, but maybe it is legitimate. So you just have to like kind of be on the side of caution with that. So the other thing, like real life events, and I would say, oops, did that one wrong. I would say things like art clubs. If you're familiar, look at like meetup.com. You also have like, sometimes universities may offer an art class. or like your local community college or something like that. That could be a viable option, or university. But do note that those can get pretty expensive. Like, I feel like when you start to delve into the realm of real life classes, people are usually taking those for, like, I don't know, they may get like some type of like college credit for it. And you also want to be aware of the information and how dense the course is. Like, my experience in college, or university is what I would call it, it was very condensed. And I felt like more often than not, I was memorizing everything. And the stuff that I memorized was just kind of like, it helped me until the exam. Then after that, I kind of just forgot it. I mean, I didn't really forget it, but it just kind of like got chucked out my mind. But I mean, anything I applied stuck with me. The other thing is, when it comes to art stuff, especially, it takes long periods of time to like really internalize certain concepts. So I always be on the side of caution with that. The other thing is art school. Art school, I can't afford that. I believe there are a lot of good art schools, but my issue with a lot of art schools is the fact that it's like you already have to have some type of skill and portfolio before you can even get accepted to these schools. And kind of the problem that I would say, and look, I understand everyone has to make a dollar, the schools included, but my critique on that is that unless you're like brought up uh, in a school, or like their extracurriculars wherever you go to school that help you take classes to do that, I mean, right out of the bat, you're not going to be good at it. Like, when I went to actual university, I went for various computer things. I wasn't good at any of that. I mean, I got into school, but I wasn't good at computer stuff yet. I mean, I did do some beforehand. Um, but I mean, like, yeah, a lot of art schools, they require you to have like a kick-ass portfolio beforehand. And I'm like, how do I put it? Not everyone is in a life situation to be prepared for that. I mean, even if you look at things like trade schools, uh, no one starts off as a master. I mean, maybe you can find someone who just learns all the information right off the bat. But usually people work as an apprentice of some sort. I mean, having the ability to learn is usually a given with a lot of this, but it seems like with art school that you really can't get in until you can already have a level of confidence. So it's like, it could be a good way to go if you want to for the sake of it, but I feel like for the most part it's kind of like this ivory tower that kind of acts as a barrier. I know that sounds weird to say. I'm not saying all art schools, but some, and some people may know what I'm talking about. And I mean, art schools, like, they're filled with a lot of teachers, but the other thing you have to be cautious is they're not an art school is not going to be like a mentor, because like when I think of a mentor, I think of one person at one time. And art school and school in general, very rarely does one teacher have time to dedicate to one student. It's just because of a factor of money. A lot of teachers don't get paid that much, so they have to teach a bunch of students at once. And my critique of college was, how good can it be when you're just a number? Like, I had a lot of good professors, I will say that, but a lot of them couldn't always dedicate a lot of time. I rarely went into a thing called office hours, if you're familiar with it. I think on one occasion I did, and I gotta be honest with you, it was just for like a quick couple questions I had. My other critique of school is sometimes, like, when I would take exams, uh, sometimes you would review it on the day you got it back, but more often than not, because professors would reuse the same exams, they would not allow you to take it home. And I understand why, because they didn't want you to take it home, because someone may sell it to someone else or give it to someone else to ace the next exam for whoever may take that class. But at the same point, it was like I felt like there was information like I couldn't learn because I wasn't allowed to take a picture of it. So it was kind of like unless I absorbed it in that exact moment, then I wasn't gonna have a chance to really learn it. So that was one thing that pissed me off about school. Um, like I said, I didn't go to art school, so I can't speak on that. Could be a different experience. I could just be generalizing, but you get the point. So the one thing I want to extremely mention is you should be enjoying it. If you're not enjoying it, why do it? I mean, if that makes sense. Like, you really need to like it in some way. My parents are required to do continuing education. For my non-art job, I don't really have an art job, but I mean, like in my other life, when I deal with computer stuff, I don't have any type of continuing education. It doesn't exist for the field I'm in. The field that I am in. It's just kind of like you always need to be learning new things, and I am. And lucky for me, I find it really interesting. Um, it kind of spills back into my website, you could say, because the way I'm always learning is I'm always doing more improvements to my own website. So everything, it all kind of interlaps, which is what I like. But yeah, draw the things that you like. You need to do that, or you won't be drawing in the long run. I'm pretty sure there can be other things. Some people may recommend other forms of like social media. I've always debated how worthwhile that is. I feel like a lot of social media kind of just shows the glamour shots, I believe is what the term would go. And those are like people's best examples, and I feel like more often than not it's kind of just a waste of time. I think there is some social media where you could find help, but like I said, it won't be the same experience as like a mentor. I think things like maybe Discord, but it's so hard to say because when I think of this, I begin to think of like I feel like early internet forums were the original social media, but more often than not, yeah, I really couldn't tell you. Like, you wouldn't want to use Twitter or X. You wouldn't want to use Facebook or Meta. You wouldn't want to use Instagram. Like, people can give you feedback, but do be on the side of caution for that. I will tell you this story. When I first started drawing, I didn't really know what to do, so I joined a Facebook group. And I got accepted into this group. It was so hard to get accepted into the group. I don't know why. I did, but it was like a private Facebook group. This was a long time ago. And I got feedback from people, and I kind of got like conflicting critique from people. And I just didn't know what to do, and I felt like I was getting information overloaded. To the point in which it was kind of like having a bunch of mentors, but never a solid one mentor. So that's like the problem. So like you need to have some layer of consistency when it comes to it. So do be on the side of caution for that. I really do have to say, if you find some art club, I have heard there are some people who, when you join a club, more often than not, you pay dues, and usually you can get really good feedback from people. Now, I guess it all depends on the type of art that you're into that you want to get feedback on, but I feel like a lot of people in art clubs are really doing it for the love of it, and you can get some really good advice from those people, because those are people who have experience, they may have an art career, and they're also willing to share their time. But just be known, even with any mentorship, I feel like it's more like 90-10, like 90% of the drawing you're going to do on your own, and maybe or maybe even like 1% of the time. It's like you're going to get, you want to practice like hell before you get feedback, and don't be disappointed by feedback, but just know that you have to use that other time to improve. So yeah, the other thing is education like never ends. I know that's weird to say. Some people may go into a career, and when you go into a career, do know that some people may not always have time to be learning. And I know that sounds really weird, but I gotta be honest with you, I feel like you're always learning on the job in one way. No two things are ever really the same, and there are always like unique things to learn out of it. So I got into a debate with my uncle about that, and he's a lawyer, and he was telling me like, hey, how do you, if you were like a freelancer, how do you charge on the job? And basically, what he said, what he said, is that you don't count it. But then like I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. I mean, like you have to count it. Like if you're a freelancer and you charge, you know, I mean, I know you can't charge hourly. More like with freelancers, it's for a job done, not for an hour. But he would talk to me about things like day rates, and basically he would say, yeah, you don't charge for it, but like pretty much you do. So and I was like, what? So you just fit it in. That's all I can really say. Especially with drawing, no two things are going to be exactly the same. And even when you draw one thing, just because you have it patented down from that exact perspective, the second you take it out of perspective or like put it in some other weird perspective, it's like a whole new entire use case. Like you could learn some things from doing previous studies, but for the most part, you're going to have to learn something new. So do know that you'll always be learning something new, but to that level of learning new stuff, that may change a bit. Like you may not always be having to focus on, like once you understand things like eye level, perspective, proportions, other stuff like that, you could eventually see what looks right. But you know, you're not gonna, you may mess up occasionally and draw something that looks totally wrong, but hey, at least you could see your mistakes. So do know that like when you are trying to further your art education, there's many ways to do it. Don't stress. Don't stress. Don't stress. Always be planning into the future in one way or another. I would say avoid on like commentary. Like maybe commentary can help you, but sometimes like there are books out there that are more like self-help books, and I'm reading it because it was recommended to me by someone, but I'm like, hey, this is more just like a self-help book and like people talking about the theory of art. It could be beneficial to read it, but do make sure you're getting in your normal drawing for the day. Definitely do that. You should always be trying to strive for that. So yeah, those are the main things I wanted to talk about. Education is something I really value, as you can tell. I value it so much that I want to share it with people, even though I may not be in my best form for drawing everything. I do try, which I think is what matters. And I think a lot of what I do also helps solidify some of my knowledge. But also do know that I may have to, in the future, comment on past videos I make, because there may have been something I don't know at the time, or I may have like done something that I didn't know was cited, but I read it somewhere else and I'm like, whoa, I figured this out before them. Another thing I've kind of found out about continuing education in art is that I kind of had a lot of those reinventing the wheel moments in which I would find out stuff, and then I eventually read like a book from like the 70s or 80s, and like the book will mention like the exact same thing, and I'm like, whoa, I wasn't the only one to find it out. So yeah, do know a lot of things require a ton of muscle memory. Sorry, I meant to do a 10, and I don't know why I wrote a P. So never stop drawing and learning. There's always something new you can learn, but like I said, do have a healthy balance. Try to do more drawing than learning, but learning is important. I'm not saying don't do any learning. I said that in other videos, but just be aware of that. So if you have a question, please ask in the comments and I'll try to answer. If you like my videos, please like it, as it helps the channel a lot. And if you like my channel, please subscribe. Thank you very much for listening to me rant about this. Bye.